Hey everybody. Hey, hey, hey. Hey y'all. Hey. Thank you for joining me this evening. So I am trying something new. I am going live with you guys on Instagram as well as on Facebook. So hopefully my tech skills are up to par. Hey y'all. Hey Becca. Hey. Thank you for joining me, y'all. So I'm not going to keep y'all long this evening, but I wanted to talk about housing for a little bit. I don't know how many of you guys have kids that are in the late teens or at least teenagers or even young adults. Let me know in the comments if you have a teenager. Let me know, let me know, let me know. Let me know if you have a teenager. Because I am like having such a hard time with trying to understand like what is happening with housing. Like what's happening with housing? And you guys know me, you probably know my son Q, and we have been trying to figure some things out as far as getting to the point of independence. And that has been a really tough thing. So we have the piece of getting your child to independence, teaching them all the things that they need to know, and hoping that you don't miss anything. But you know we will because we're human. But just getting them to the point that they can shop for themselves and cook for themselves, or even if they can't do those things for themselves, don't forget they can still live independent of you, with some support, of course. But just being able to do things on their own, laundry, um, making doctor's appointments, those types of things. And I am at a point where I'm like, okay, so unless you're wealthy, and I'm certainly not, don't let the doctor in front of my name fool you. It's a doctor of education. Um, Oh, you're a young adult. Thank you for being here. Good, good, good. So, yeah, like the housing thing is driving me nuts. We are trying to figure out like how can Q live on his own. And so I have been trying to search high and low, figuring out grants. And yes, there are certain counties and cities that have some grant money, but even the grant money at $60,000, $70,000 worth of grants still doesn't put you in a point to where if you only make $17 an hour, that you can actually still live on your own. So I actually found a company, an organization out of Washington State, and so yeah, I guess my tech skills aren't that good. No Facebook. Okay. So, a company out of Washington State, and they help parents with basically some out of the, I'm going to say outside of the box alternatives to housing. And I have decided to have them join us on September 30th for a free webinar to share this information, because I started looking at this housing thing way too late. So if you've got little ones, oh my goodness, have a plan, get prepared, try to figure out how to get wealthy before they are adults, because I didn't. And, it's one of those things where, like, okay, so that time sneaks up on you, right? They're 18, they're 22, they're 25. No, they don't only serve Washington. That's why we're going to have them talk to us. I'm in Atlanta, so definitely not only serving Washington. Um, Thank you so much, Boomer Vision. I appreciate that. But we've got to figure it out earlier, sooner rather than later. So don't you guys do what I did, because I definitely dropped the ball on that one, and we're still trying to figure it out. And Q's about to turn 25 next month. So housing, I'm sorry, Partners for Housing is what it's called. Partners for Housing. They have some really, interesting suggestions and interesting alternatives for housing that I want to share with you guys. A lot of the suggestions that they have made to me for Q, we are actually in the process of trying to execute one of them now. And I'm not going to share that with you guys because I do want you guys to come and listen for yourselves, and your situation may not be the same as ours anyway. but they are going to come on September 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a free webinar. Matter of fact, I need to put the link in the chat so that you guys can have it as well. As a matter of fact, if you just comment housing, if you comment housing, the link will come to you automatically. So just comment housing if you're interested, and you'll get the link automatically. But they're going to talk about some interesting ways to combat this housing crisis. I don't know even if you have adult children that are not autistic or they don't have any disabilities, it's still very difficult for us to find housing. And, you know, they deserve to live on their own and experience the same things that we have experienced. And so for me, it's important that we give them every single possible opportunity that we can give them. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way that I feel, but you know, my son, he definitely wants to have the experience of living on his own. And most of our kids do, you know, most of our kids do. Most of our kids, they want to live outside of the home, whether or not it's by themselves or with a roommate or with a group. And I don't mean like, you know, a group home or anything like that. And that might be appropriate for some people. And I do think that partners for housing, I do think that they talk about that kind of stuff too, but they also talk about some other very interesting alternatives. So anybody else like me concerned about housing for their young one, whether or not they are a teenager, a young adult, anybody else concerned about that? And if you are concerned about that, tell me what your biggest concern is. Because for me, my biggest concern is that, you know, I want Q to have every experience that his brothers have had, every experience that I have had. And while I do love having him here with me, you know, he's ready to go on his own. And it's not today because he's not ready today. There's still some things that I feel like he has to learn. But he is near that time. We are definitely approaching that time very, very soon. I anticipate by January, maybe June of next year, but 2026, he'll be definitely ready to go. And if you ask him, he'll say he's ready to go now. But for me and my own peace and my sanity, I think he needs just a little bit more time at home. There's some things that we've got to do. Hey guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I'm just talking about the housing crisis and how it's impacting our kids with developmental disabilities. And basically, what are your plans? And I wanted to share that I am having an organization, a nonprofit organization called Partners for Housing, to join us on September 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, your concern is that you won't be there and he'll need you. Oh, that's the biggest thing, right? That's the biggest thing for us as parents. Like, we are always concerned about that. And I don't think that we're ever going to stop being concerned about that. But you know what? We do our best to get them ready. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, when I'm gone, no, I want to see what they can do right here while I'm alive, while I'm well, while I can guide them, while when they fall down and scrape their knees, you know, and that's just metaphorically, that I can pick them up and brush their knees off and put them on their way again. So absolutely, absolutely. That whole thing of what happens when we're not around is very much so important. And it's important for us to know like what that's going to look like when we're actually gone. So we've got to figure that out now while we're still here. But thank you for sharing that, because that's really a big one. That's a really a big one. I know that's one that definitely has kept me up at night for sure. The level of independence is hard to imagine right now. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know your baby situation, Boomer Vision. But what I can say is this: independence looks different for everyone, even when they're living outside of the home. I have a friend who her child is in a place called, it's in a city called Flowery Branch, and I forget the name of the organization right now. Oh man. Okay, hopefully it'll come back to me. But they live in a community where a bunch of people that have a variety of disabilities. but some of them are more independent than others. Some of them have jobs and they go in and out as they please. Some of them have support that comes in every single day with them. Some of them have some people that come in and cook for them and make sure they're okay. Some of them have like a person that lives with them. So it's still, it just looks different, and that's okay that it looks different. Um, the goal is just to get them as independent as possible for them. I have a client whose child has a severe intellectual disability, and for her, like just being able to feed herself is a part of independence, right? And so we don't really, you know, we're not going to be overly concerned about how it looks as long as they're making progress towards it, because sometimes our kids are going to get exactly where we want them to be and they're going to surpass where we thought they could be, and sometimes they're just going to meet us where we think they should be. So we're not going to worry about that, but what we are going to do is continue to work on it, and because that's all that we can do. But one thing I do want to share with you, Boomer Vision, is please, 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 if you don't do anything else and you don't get anything else from me, don't lower your expectations. And that's one thing that I know, that once we start lowering our expectations, we also start lowering the amount of work that we put in and what it is that we do. So as long as we continue doing everything that we need to do, our kids are going to rise to that level. I am a believer in that. Keep those expectations high. Hey, Dr. Sean. Um, let's see. Housing near your home. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, especially if you live in an area where, housing is not cheap, right? Housing is fairly expensive. It's kind of hard, and that's a big one. Um, for me, like with Q, I don't want him to move too far away from where I am either. And also, this is a community that he is used to, that he knows how to navigate. So that's also important, right? When we raise our kids and they're in a community, they learn, which direction to go to certain places before they can even barely see over the level of the window. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? But I do want you guys to come to hear what Pam from Partners for Housing has to say, because I do think she has some very interesting information that I haven't heard anybody else really talking about and sharing. And trust me when I tell you that it's very much so good information that she's going to share. I met with her last year and had a consultation with her about Q, and she gave me a ton of information. Not enough for me to feel comfortable sharing with everybody else because it's not my wheelhouse. That's not my thing. But she did agree to come and share that information with you guys. So again, if you drop in the comments housing, I will send you the link so that you can register for the webinar. It won't cost you anything to register for this webinar. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to record it. So if you're not available on September 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as long as you are registered, I will still send out the link to everyone else. So I really think that's it. Does anybody want to come up and talk about how they feel or what they think about housing and the whole housing situation as it relates to their children? I'll be glad to have you come up on screen with me. Anybody want to come up? Just request it, and I will have you I will take it, and I will have you join me on screen. If you have something specific you want to share with everybody, I'll be more than happy to share. No, nobody? All right. Well, I just wanted to come on for a few minutes with you guys and share that. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you're not like me sitting here working on a Saturday night, but you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys. Oh, hold on. Not sure if they have this in other states, but in North Carolina, we have what's called the innovation. Okay. Hey, Boomer Vision Share. Is that about housing? Do you want to request to join me and share it with everybody? Because I haven't heard about the innovations waiver. Is that for housing? I can't tell. Well, I'm not sure if that's for housing or not, but Innovations Waivers just shared that. Oh, here we go. All right, good. Hopefully I did that right. I clicked it for you to join me. Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good.
I wasn't expecting to be on camera today. Sorry. Uh, no, this is something we got from the developmental uh, pediatrics place that like gave him the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just read you what it says. Just 'cause I don't know it that well, but it
Okay.
says a long-term support option for individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities, which I'm assuming you've got to have some kind of evidence of that, but allows individuals to receive care services while remaining in their home setting. Services available are community living and support, day support, respite, supported employment, and it says, and much more. I don't know what the much more is, but um, I think it's through Medicaid too. But it's
Okay.
it's something that they said it's like a 10-year wait. So you have to you have to call them to apply, and then by the time he's 18, like my son's 7 now, so by the time he's 18, or when this might even matter, hopefully he'd be,
Right.
I don't know, off the wait list at that point. But
So that sounds, now what I'm doing on the 30th is not the same thing, but that sounds like in Georgia they have what they called is it's called a now and comp waiver.
okay.
And so it helps with the housing and the support for the future. And you're right, those waiting lists are forever because
Yeah.
here in Georgia it's about 15 years. And I know someone that has been on the list for 17 years and she still hasn't gotten it. And the person at Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, is a mouthful, DBHDD,
Uh-huh.
told her that she didn't think that she would ever get it simply because she didn't think that her child's disability was severe enough. And I was like, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
That's my son's kind of like a borderline case, so it's kind of tough because he definitely needs help, but he doesn't seem like he needs help. So it's like,
Yeah.
the squeaky wheel always gets the grease, and he's not very squeaky.
That's
So it's
one of the major things. Like the kids that aren't the most severe tend to not get a whole lot of help, if any, if
right,
any.
yeah,
So
like
yeah.
and things like that that would make you give him attention. But yeah, so
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And nowadays funding is slim to none these days. So we are trying to, as parents, having to really come up with some alternative and creative ways to figure out how to get the things that we want our kids to get. And one of the things that I was just talking to somebody else about recently was like, I just read an article and I just did a reel on it too, that 25 grants for special education programs, specifically to train special education teachers and things like that. It was just cut.
oh
And so
really?
I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm an advocate. So it's always doom and gloom for me when I hear that. I'm
Right,
like, so if the teachers are not getting training, and many of the teachers we currently have aren't trained properly anyway, like
right.
what's going to happen when they're not getting any training at all? So it's scary. It's
It is.
scary.
Yeah, what I've seen so far, just in our limited experience in public school, there's every grade has like a certain teacher they'll give those types of students to, and it's like you hope that's a reason, like they're good with them or something like that. So far that's been the case. They've been really good teachers, really good support systems, um but yeah, all that matters so much. You really have to fight for your kid. I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
shout out to the teachers at your kids' schools.
right.
Because and there really are really lot of really good teachers out there,
Mhm.
but there are a lot that really care, but they haven't gotten the proper training, and that's
Right,
what I've come across. Like they are genuinely good people, they mean well,
definitely.
but meaning well and being properly trained is two different things, you
Right,
know.
having the resources,
So, but yeah,
all
shout
that.
out to I don't know who your school district is, but shout out to them. You can go ahead and give those teachers a shout out.
Yeah, it's Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. I Yeah, I'll go there.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, good. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
yeah,
And it
appreciate it.
was North Carolina, and
Yeah,
it's called the Innovations Waiver.
innovations waiver. Yeah, I think if you look that up, it should pop up. It says it's through Medicaid services, so I guess if you got to Medicaid, you could get to them too. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? A lot of the supports that come from that, even if you don't qualify for Medicaid, let's say because of your income and you work and all of that, and you have private insurance,
right.
if you apply for SSI, and a lot of people think that SSI is only for a check, right?
Mm,
But the beautiful thing about SSI, because that's what I used to think back in the day. Okay, well, why would I apply for SSI? They're not going to give it to me. I have a job. You know, we have
right.
two working parents. There's no way. But what I found out from a friend that actually worked for Social Security was that you should always apply, because what happens is that even though you don't qualify for cash benefits, now you qualify for Medicaid. So a lot of these waivers want to know that you have a documented disability, and they use the Social Security vehicle to decide
Okay.
whether or not you qualify for those Medicaid waivers.
So it's like the gateway to get into it.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. 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 All
Um,
right. Well,
I
thank you
like.
so much for
Yeah.
joining me.
Thank you. Have a good rest of
Uh,
the night.
you too. All right. Let's see. Oh, Sadia. Yeah, that's a good one. Are you sure he has autism? Yeah, people have told me that about Quincy too. And I'm like, yeah, you guys have no idea. No idea. And you have no idea how far we've come. Because trust me, the Q you see today is not the Q that has always been. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anybody else have something that they would like to share that would be good for the community? Can't get disability due to your income? Yeah, Sadia. Yep. 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 Now you can't get an income due to your income, so you can't get an SSI check, but still, if you haven't already done it, you want to, and I'm not sure what state you're in, but you're probably going to want to apply anyway. They're going to deny you for the cash benefits because you make too much money, of course. But you will qualify for Medicaid if your child has a disability and they deem your child disabled based on the SSI criteria. And what that does is it opens the door for Medicaid benefits. And if you're in a state like mine, I'm in Georgia, you have the Katie Beckett waiver, and they normally want you to have some sort of documentation from Social Security. So just keep that in mind. All right. Yeah, I have a friend named Sadia. Yeah. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Today we're really talking about housing. And just for you guys that just joined me, I am having a webinar hosted by an organization called Partners for Housing on September 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they're going to talk about alternatives for housing. And earlier I was just saying that, you know, housing is so expensive now, and unless you're wealthy, how can you possibly afford for your young adult to live on their own, especially when they're underemployed and some unemployed. So yeah, but if you have anything that would be good for the group, I'll be more than happy to have you pop up, join me, request, and have you share it with the group. And if you're interested in the webinar, just drop housing in the comments and I will send you the link so you have that. But regardless of whether or not your child is almost 18 years old, already an adult, or just, you know, 7, 10 years old, and you want to come on and join and just listen, you should, because a lot of this time it goes by like that. I know people probably tell you, especially if this is your first child, that, oh, you're going to blink and your child is going to be 18 or 22. I promise you, you're going to blink and they are going to be ready and wanting to do things and having opinions and everything else. So yeah, definitely join us on September 30th. All right, guys. Well, if no one else has anything, I am going to get back to work, and you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you guys.